Hi, I'm Christine Cushing, and welcome to another special edition from the Quarantine Kitchen of recipes that I want to share with you. Simple, feel good, because we all need to feel good. By the way, how you doing? Are you cooking? I know you're cooking. Everybody on the planet is cooking right now. Even Michael Bublé and his wife are cooking. Although, I don't think they're going to be cooking what we are about to be cooking. I'm going to go really nostalgic on you today with probably one of the most famous recipes from my dad. His name was Tony. So we are going to make his famous banana cake. So many great little tips along the way and fun stories that I want to share with you because it's all about the fun and nostalgia and baking today. All right, let me just show you bananas. To make a great banana bread, for me, you got to go with the brown bananas. So it's got to be super, super ripe, overripe, in fact, for eating. My husband always takes the overripe bananas and puts them in the freezer as a hint to me to make more banana bread. So this is how I like them. This was frozen, so I just wanted to show you the kind of stage that I like to use them at. And in fact, when you use just a relatively ripe banana, so that it's not overripe, you're not going to get the same level of sweetness and those same tropical notes. So I always like to kind of go a bit overboard. And it's a way to not waste bananas, especially nowadays, right? So I got 3 bananas. Don't fret, the whole recipe, as always, is going to be below the description. So I'm literally going to just mix in this bowl the wet ingredients. So bananas, a couple of eggs going in, a little bit of vanilla, and I'm eyeballing this, but I encourage you not to do this. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, pure vanilla extract. This one is particularly double acting. Here's a thing that I love to use. I have it in my fridge. It was kind of running low, so I want to use it up. This is apple butter. So again, for this recipe and this series, it's all about using everything we have. Apple butter, because I get a lot of questions about it, is a reduced, essentially, apple puree. And they add some spices to it, so those warm spices. Could be cinnamon, cloves, things like that. If you don't have apple butter, you can always use maple syrup, you can use honey, or what I wouldn't do is use apple sauce. So the difference, that's good, concentration of flavor. The difference with applesauce is much wetter, so it's gonna make your banana bread super wet. We don't want that. So here's wet ingredients. The other ingredient that I'm gonna add is the butter. So this is just melted, unsalted butter going in there. Right now it looks pretty just basic, not too many complicated things in here, and it's all about the ease of this recipe. Okay, so wet ingredients there. Now the one thing that my dad did with this is, in addition to all these wet ingredients, I'm gonna add the sugar to that. So this is a dark brown sugar. I use all natural. I don't pack it down, it's just loosely packed. You'll see that in the recipe going in. If you don't have brown sugar, you can always go with white sugar and add a little bit of molasses. So essentially that's what brown sugar is. Brown sugar is sugar the way it's supposed to be, and when they remove the molasses, then you get white sugar. Okay, those are wet ingredients. Now let's do a little swap-a-rama for the dry. I always love to sift with this sieve. It aerates the flour, it catches any little debris that's in there. So going in with an all-purpose flour and a couple of leaveners. We're gonna go with baking powder, baking soda, both gonna leaven, and anything with some acidity. So brown sugar has a bit of acidity, that's why we add the baking soda. I'm gonna also add quite a bit of cinnamon. My dad maybe went even a bit crazier than this with the cinnamon, but really it's up to you. And always a pinch of salt, which I'm putting outside. Actually, it's a half teaspoon salt because it's not gonna go through the sieve. And now we sift. And see those little just balls there? By sifting, you really aerate, and the texture of your cake or your banana bread is gonna be that much lighter. That's why I love doing that. So now I have a couple of really cool things to show you. So here are my dry ingredients. Cinnamon. Already to me, it's all nostalgia. This really takes me back to my dad making this recipe. He made it so often, and not actually when I was a kid, but more as a teenager, because he was, in fact, I called him the accidental baker because he never kept recipes. He was always just throwing stuff together. I'm going to get back to that. The last little spice I'm going to use is this. So check that out. Have you ever seen that before? This is another bit of nostalgia for me. It's taking me back to the time when I was in Malaysia, and I actually picked this from a tree. I had never seen it the way it grows. Look at that, so cool. This is actually, let me just reveal it for you. We're going to do a little, hopefully it's going to work. Are you ready? Do a little smashing. Okay, that's perfect. So this is the outer husk of nutmeg. So in addition to this part, what's around it is the mace. So the mace comes off, and then you have this other extra shell. Is that cool or what? I didn't have any clue about that until I actually went and picked it and saw. It actually looks like a pear when you see it on the tree. It's crazy. So that is some fresh nutmeg. How cool is that? So I always suggest using fresh nutmeg, because when you use an already grated nutmeg, the flavor is going to be so much more diminished. I'm eyeballing this too. So fragrant, because this came right off the tree. Oh, wow. And this is the place where you want to have these beautiful spices, right? Warm spices, bananas, brown sugar. Come on. It's going to make you just melt. So now let's go back to Tony. Why was he famous? Why was this banana cake famous? He never kept recipes. And when he started to bake, he went back to cooking school actually to learn how to bake, because he was so bad at it, like notoriously bad. And when I tasted this banana cake the first time, banana bread, I said, oh, this is amazing. Like, how incredible is it? And then my husband called me one day and said, okay, I just tasted the most amazing banana bread. Your dad made it, and I couldn't stop eating it. So he said, you have to make it. You have to get the recipe. I said, good luck with that. And he laughed. He said, well, what are you talking about? I said, he has no clue of the recipe. He's like, never keeps a recipe. So I asked him, no clue of the recipe. So I actually interviewed him to try and get it. You know, did you use 2 eggs, 3 eggs? Yeah, I think 2, you know, and that's how it all went. But here's the kicker, the process. So after I got it all written down, the process of making it, it was so non-professional that I would have never come up with the system. So I tried to make it, you know, how you would make it in a commercial kitchen, and it wasn't that great. So I went back and I said, what's up? I did everything you said. So here's how he mixed it. Check it out. You got your wet ingredients. You got your dry ingredients. Here's the special tool. See that, baby? Yes, potato masher. So what did he do? He said, I just put everything in the bowl and I mash it with a masher. So I'm like, all right. In 50 years, I would never come up with that. So thankfully, I asked him and he told me, and that's how this recipe was born, because I was actually able to create a recipe using his technique without professionalizing it. That's what's so great. You talk about homey recipes. So what the potato masher does is it actually leaves some texture in the banana and mixes everything. I mean, it's completely contrary, I'm telling you. As a chef, no way, you just would never do this. It made no sense. You know, I was beating butter and sugar together, just creaming it. He's like, no, you don't do that. What's the matter with you? So this, I think, is nicely blended. Now, guess what? You add this whole wet to the dry, again with the potato masher. but I do want to make sure I get all of the liquid here. And we mash. The key here is not to over process this, so you don't want to overwork that flour. And by the way, if you can't find all-purpose white flour, you can absolutely make this with whole wheat flour. It will actually be even way more nutritious. And the bananas can hold it. You know, the bananas give you enough moisture that it's not going to be dense and dry. And I just want to work this until the flour, I don't see any more flour. Almost like making a muffin, but not really. It's a little bit more than that. Let's go around here. And let me make sure I've got all of that blended. Do I? Yes, I do. That's looking perfect. The aroma of this is crazy, crazy, crazy good. And really, what are recipes for? For me, recipes are for sharing, and this is the whole point. I mean, this is a really, really special recipe to me. And my dad, I mean, whenever he made this, we would go crazy, and he made it for quite a few years. So I want to pass it along to you. You can spend, you know, some great times with your family, especially now. Kids, it's super easy. You don't even have to use a mixer. So that's why I wanted to share it with you. I think this is the time to really pull out the heavy nostalgia. And also improvise using whatever we have available. I'm using small baking tins like this for a couple of reasons. They're going to cook more quickly, and then I can have, you know, a few loaves. One can go in the freezer, and I don't have to worry about it taking so long to cook. Sometimes in a big loaf pan, the outer part gets too tough by the time the inside cooks. So that's why I like to go with 3. You can also do it in a cake pan. Very, very, again, improvise as you would like to. So I'm just going to divide it among these 3 here. Look at the color of that. Brown sugar, apple butter. So good. And those spices. I'm already imagining this. We want to make sure they're even, but we're going to eyeball it. This is nothing, you know, this is not going to be anything complicated, as you can see. The question is, how long will 3 of these last in your house? Okay, I think this one is going to go in here. Not as even as it could be, so we'll make sure that it is. This one has a little bit more. My oven right now is set at 350, and that's a still setting. No convection, no fan. So the rule of thumb is when you're baking any kind of cake or something like this, you want to keep your oven still. Just because I'm being finicky now, I want to make sure those are even. So just tap them down a bit. And into the oven, they're going to go. Who wants some banana cake? Who wants some of Tony's famous banana cake? 350, the recipe's going to be there. I'm not going to really tell you how long. It just depends until they're done. They want to, when a tester goes in, they need to be, the tester needs to come out clean. So 3 little banana breads coming out soon. Okay, 30 minutes. They should be almost done, but I want to do a little test just to make sure, because there's so many variables, including, let me just see. I just want to insert a toothpick in the center. I can tell, comes out clean. They're bouncy. These babies are good. So they're coming your way. Here we go. Oh, look at those. I love the 3 little ones. Look how cute they are. So great. Already I feel good. Smells good too. So I gotta let these sit for just a few minutes before I can flip one out and show you what they look like. But that is perfect. Ooh, banana bread. Oh, so good. Intoxicating, ridiculous. All right, this is why we're all here. I'm gonna flip one of these babies out. I just wanted to let you know, they're still a little bit cool, like a little bit warm. So ideally, what I wanna do is kind of cool these down, but because I use this non-stick pan, this non-stick little guy here, they come out super, super easily. So if you don't have non-stick baking loaf pans, you want to butter and flour these. I didn't mention that before, so that they come out nice and beautiful like that. So again, this is a little bit hotter than it ought to be. I would cool it down fully here, but I can't wait. I'm impatient. I got to show it to you. It looks so great. That is what I'm talking about, right? So now I want you to see what all the fuss is about. Hello, right? There is Tony's famous banana cake. Booyah! Okay, you got to get the pot, water. You want to make some tea, you want to make some coffee. I'm coming over with the banana cake. What are you waiting for? Oh, I can't, I forgot. Okay, you're gonna make it and have your own tea, have your own coffee, and I'm gonna make mine here. But I wanna taste this for you because look at how moist and tender that is, right? It's still warm, but look at that. That's what a great banana bread looks like. Mmm. Phenomenal. It's just the perfect level of sweetness, fragrant with all these beautiful spices, so tender and delicate. You're gonna lose your mind over this. You are gonna lose your mind. You wanna make this right away. Thank you so much for joining me in my quarantine kitchen today so we can reminisce about my dad's absolutely amazing, very famous banana bread recipe. Please stay well. Let's keep together in the kitchen. We're gonna get over this thing. Join me again very soon for another helping in the quarantine kitchen. Please thumbs up, subscribe, share. Let me know what's happening in your kitchen. See you next time. Get that coffee, get that tea on.